pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for July 5, 2023. Are there any additions or corrections to these minutes? Not. Minutes will stand as presented. Approval of the financial report. Comments, questions, concerns? Not. Financial report will stand as presented. Payment of the bills and have the clerk pay all other normal billings when received.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Trudy, supported by Jean to pay the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We are at the public comment portion of our meeting. We have a 3-minute speaking rule. Public comment section is now open. Gail?
Do you have any information about JPR's updates on the water improvement through the village, where they were going to include some of the township residents out here on Fawn River and Kalamazoo Street into that new, I don't know what you want to call it, but they're going to connect them into, along with the other residents over there on Grove Street that had their wells contaminated by the PFAS?
We have no information on that. Our understanding that there was a grant that they got, but I don't know what the status of that is.
Okay, because they said that they had to have 51%, and they said that they were including 44 additional homes, and those homes were actually located in the actual township, not in the village part of the township, but the actual township.
They have not communicated anything to us at this point on that. We don't have anything.
Is there any way you could check into that? Because, I mean, from what they were saying at the village, I mean, Lacey can shed some light on that, was that they were going to, if they got 51% of the homes that they considered affected by this.
The letter that they're drafting hasn't even been sent yet. So there'll be a letter, it's still in the process of being drafted, sent to all those homeowners. So it's still like in the early stages.
Okay, because they came out and tested my water today, and I pulled my reports that I kept from the PFAS, and in June of 2020, my well did not detect any PFAS. They came back out again the second time in May of 2022, and the results remained the same, that there was no PFAS detected, but yet they've got my home included in their drawings as one of the houses that will, if I don't tap into it, and then something happens to my well down the road, then I have to pay upwards of about $5,000 to tap into this. I don't want to tap into the village's water. You guys got crappy water in the village.
Right, you don't have to. You'll be sent a letter and you can say yes or no.
But if I don't, and then something happens to my well, then they're gonna...
That's the state of Michigan saying that the water in this whole area is contaminated and we advise you don't have a well.
Right, but for like somebody like me, because I can't talk for my neighbors because I don't know what all theirs are. I know 2 of them do have them, but I don't. So, because I'm in that line.
That's 3 minutes, Don.
Gail, that is,
A
I would
village.
recommend you go to the village. We don't have the information. I'm sorry, they have not communicated it to us. We can't give it to you, we don't have it. So go to the village when JPR is there, and maybe JPR will bring everybody up to speed, but we don't know. It's not our water.
There was a big update at the last meeting, so JPR said the letters being drafted to be sent to the homeowners. So that's where we're at with it.
Well, that's why I was just wondering if the township had any involvement because of it, because of the fact
We have
that
an agreement between the village and the township, so that was approved, I don't know, years ago,
And
so.
I'm sure they would notify us when it got to that point.
Okay.
Questions?
That's what I was, excuse me, Don. That's what I was going to follow up on. I was at the last village meeting and Tyler Royce had said that there was a municipal agreement between the township and the village. At the time, he was talking about water. So I'm not in that area, but I was just following up on something I hadn't shared with Gail.
I am unfamiliar with any municipal agreement with water. We are looking at, and it's been talked about, the 131 corridor out there to include Montville for future expansion, but that's nothing to do with us. The village would always control the water. That's just an agreement we have, is will we service Montville Township is what we're looking at. But as far as having any kind of agreement for municipal water with the village, I would have to talk to Tyler, but it's news to me. So,
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
okay, thank you. Anybody else? Going once. Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion of the meeting. Correspondence, anything, Lacey? Zoning officers report. We have Mike's report, looked it over. Planning commission report. Anything, Susan, coming up that you know of?
No, other than just the master plan is in the future, and the next meeting's on the 2nd of October.
Okay, thank you. Sewer report, nothing going on out there. Cemetery report, Vince?
Not too much to report. Grass is green finally. So one of the trimmings commenced. We did have some damage from the last storms late last week. No stones were damaged, but we had some pretty good sized limbs coming down. I'll take the last of that out tomorrow, so it'll be 7 dump trucks full of just down limbs. We did have one stone that was damaged that the wind just knocked over and just broke it in half, but I'm pretty certain I can replace that. Repair it, not replace it. So other than that, that's about it.
Thank you. Ambulance committee report, I don't think anything's come of that, nothing's going on, so. Okay, office coordinator collection agent report, Jean?
Oh, just want to apologize to our community that we had a little issue when the storm went through. So Thursday when we came here, no telephones, no internet, no nothing in here, and it took them half the day to get the box fixed outside the building. So if you tried to call here and you couldn't get through to us, that's what the problem was. We had an issue from the storm. So, but other than that,
Thank you. Fire administration report, John, anything going on the fire administration side?
Everything's going good.
Thank you. Over to CD at the Omni Credit Union. Trudy, want to take this one?
Yep, I'm working on that right now to open a CD. Of course, they got requirements to open one because of the government and the business. So they need board approval to be able to open it. And then who's going to be the authorized signers on the account. So I'll just need that, a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support it.
Okay, so the motion is to open up the CD at the Omni Credit Union, and who are the 3 signers we're gonna have?
Lacey.
Say 3, yeah.
Us two
Okay,
girls.
sorry, Jean, Trudy, and Lacey are the signers on the CD. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 15, FOIA appeal, Paige Willis. Paige could not make it tonight. So anyway, the appeal process is, we had, she appealed some information. She was granted some, she was denied others, and she has since filled out a FOIA appeal, which she's entitled to do, and Lance has the response to that appeal.
Correct.
And before I walk through that, I'll read into the record, because it's my understanding Paige Willis submitted a written statement. It says, "I, Paige Willis, am sorry I couldn't attend due to a prior engagement, but I filed this appeal simply for knowledge and transparency, which is what is supposed to be happening within the township. When a citizen comes in and asks something, they shouldn't be met with retaliation and rudeness from the elected officials. You were elected to help the citizens, not to become dictators. I hope that you all vote to approve this, just to show the people that you are still on our side and not just us, not just against us. Thank you for your time, Paige Willis." So that was a written statement she submitted. Ms. Willis did file a FOIA request with the township on July 7 of 2023. As township attorney, I responded to Ms. Willis's FOIA request by a letter dated July 13 of 2023, which, as Don said, granted portions of Ms. Willis' request and denied other portions. She did file this appeal, which she has the right to do with the township board. So we're going to walk through each item of appeal, and then I would recommend you vote after we deal with each item, so we don't forget what you're voting on down the line. Item 1, and they weren't necessarily, I'm following the order she put in her appeal, not the order in the request, the original request. So, and I think you guys all should have copies of the request that was submitted, along with my response. In paragraph 4 of her request, Ms. Willis requested the job duties of the clerk. The township's response stated that the township does not possess a document that lists the job duties of the clerk. Ms. Willis was informed that a township clerk's duties are set by state statute. The township is only required to provide copies of public documents it has, and the township is not required to conduct research for anybody submitting a FOIA request. My opinion on this item of the appeal is that it is meritless and should be denied. However, this board can and should reach its own determination as to whether Ms. Willis's appeal of this item should be granted or denied. So if you feel the township's response was correct and accurate, you would make a motion to deny her appeal. If you feel our response was not correct or accurate, you would make a motion to grant her appeal on that item.
I will make a motion that we keep it as it is presently, denying.
Second.
Motion with support to deny the appeal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Next item, in paragraph 7 of her request, Ms. Willis requested copies of the oaths of office for all active township board members. The township's response informed Ms. Willis that the oaths were on paper too large to copy, but she could come into the office and review the oaths. Ms. Willis did come into the office and reviewed the oaths, and at that time, Ms. Willis agreed that Gene Teft could make copies of portions of the oaths and use a cut and paste process to produce copies of those oaths that are not identical copies of the oaths. Gene Teft did so at no additional cost to Ms. Willis except for a charge of 10 cents per copy, and Ms. Willis was provided with those copies. Thus, to my knowledge, this item of appeal has been resolved. As Township Council, I would recommend that motion to deny on that, on the basis that it has been resolved.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion with support that the matter has been resolved and that the motion be denied. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
In paragraph 8 of her request, Ms. Willis asked for clarification regarding MCL 141.412 and disciplinary actions that will be taken against Don Glenn Gene Teft for breaking it. The township denied this request for the reason that the request did not sufficiently describe public records. The township does not have documents clarifying MCL 141.412. It's a common misconception that FOIA requests can ask questions and expect answers. That's not the purpose of FOIA. FOIA is to obtain existing documents or electronic information that's already in existence. Municipalities are not required to create documents we'll just leave it at not required to create documents. Therefore, it's my opinion that Ms. Willis's appeal of this item is meritless and should be denied. However, this board can and should reach its own determination as to whether Ms. Willis's appeal of this item should be granted or denied.
I'll make a motion to deny the request by Ms. Willis.
I'll second.
A motion with support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
In paragraph 3 of her request, Ms. Willis requested the cost determination on a new cemetery truck. The township granted the request but stated that no such document exists. Ms. Willis's appeal mentions a trackback that was not addressed in her FOIA request. Thus, this portion of Ms. Willis's appeal addresses something she did not request in her original FOIA request. Thus, it is my opinion that Ms. Willis's appeal with regard to this item is meritless and should be denied. However, this board can and should reach its own determination as to whether Ms. Willis's appeal of this item should be granted or denied.
I make a motion that this appeal be denied.
I'll second.
Have a motion with support to deny the appeal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Ms. Willis is appealing the fact that the township did not provide her with a form indigency affidavit per her verbal request. The Freedom of Information Act does not require a municipality to provide such an affidavit, and White Pigeon Township does not have such an affidavit. Thus, it is my opinion that Ms. Willis's appeal with regard to this item is meritless and should be denied. However, this board can and should reach its own determination as to whether Ms. Willis's appeal of this item should be granted or denied.
I'll make a motion, we deny that request as well.
I'll second it.
Motion with support to deny the appeal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Last item, Ms. Willis is appealing the amount the township charged for the response to her FOIA request, which was $27.10, $26 for 1 hour of Gene Teff's time, and $1.10 for 11 copies. As I understand Ms. Willis's appeal, she believes she is entitled to an indigency discount that would have been $20, making the cost of the response $7.10 had it been granted. However, because Ms. Willis did not submit an affidavit of indigency, her indigency discount was denied. Thus, it is my opinion that Ms. Willis's appeal with regard to this item is meritless and should be denied. However, this board can and should reach its own determination as to whether Ms. Willis's appeal of this item should be granted or denied.
Ken, I'll make the motion, we deny that.
I'll second.
Motion with support to deny the appeal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's it.
Motion's carried. Thank you. Okay. Last item, Vince, you have anything?
Yeah, I forgot the cemetery report. Since it's been dry, we've not been able to mow and trim. We've been taking our time and resetting some headstones that are cattywampus and tilted, or so we've done about 84 of them so far. We've probably got about another 184 to go. So that's what we've been doing with downtime.
Lacey? Pete?
Nope.
Trudy? Lance? Motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.